Hello, my name is Ashley Deadwyler-Jones, and I'm here with my beautiful co-host, Miss Andrea Evans, and we are highlighting HBCU's excellence. And today we have an opportunity to chat with Mr. Brandon Dirden, one of my Morehouse brothers, to learn a lot more about his journey to, through, and after Morehouse. Welcome, Brandon. Tell us who you are.
Hey, thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Andrea. So good to be here with you. As stated, my name is Brandon Dirden, and I am one half of them Dirden boys to come out of Houston, Texas, and go to Morehouse. My other brother, Jason Dirden, was a couple years behind me. We're both actors, and we've been doing okay recently. So I'm happy to be here with you and share our story, well, my story. He had to be here to share his story, so I'm just going to be selfish to share my story. But I always like to include him because we do work well as a team. We have other siblings. None of them went to Morehouse, but we got another HBCU brother, James Dirden, who went to Xavier. And that's actually kind of how I found my way to Morehouse. Are we into that section of the interview now? Can I say how I made my way to Morehouse? Or
Absolutely. Tell us your journey. How did you, what led your steps toward the house?
All right. Cool. Well, as I said before, I'm from Houston, Texas. Grew up actually with Andrea since we were very, very, very young children. But actually learning about Morehouse kind of came in a roundabout way. Like I said, my older brother went to Xavier. And I recall, everybody does their Black History reports on Martin Luther King Jr. So we learned about Morehouse that way, as probably majority of us do. But in 1994, I think I was a sophomore in high school that year. My older brother came home with this VHS tape. Probably for some of the younger viewers, ask your parents what a VHS is. But he came home with this VHS tape, and it said Freaknik on the label. And he had gone to Atlanta for Freaknik in 1994, and he brought this home, and like my, hormonal teenage self was looking at this tape and like, where is this? Yes, I'm going to school there. And so to be very honest, that was my most immediate attraction to going to Atlanta to go to school. And then I had another friend from high school, Alvin Keith, who was from Houston, who went to Morehouse, and he was a couple of years ahead of me. And so he would come home from his summers and tell me about how dope Atlanta was and how Morehouse was. So when I applied, I did pretty well in the SATs, and so I got a scholarship for a ride to go there. And it was basically my ticket to somewhere else. Not that I, hated Houston or was dying to get out of here, but I just wanted to explore what else the country had to offer. And it was a free ride. So my parents were like, take it, fool, go. And so that's how I ended up there. And I'm so glad I did. But it wasn't really the typical journey. Like my parents didn't go there to an HBCU, or I hadn't been, bred to go to an HBCU from birth. Like I didn't have Morehouse blankets in my crib or anything like that. Like I know even my son now, he does. He has like a Morehouse sweatshirt and he's, 6. And so, but I wasn't influenced at an early age. But I'm so happy that however it came about, that it did come about for me in my life, because it's been a huge blessing and a great foundation for me.
Well, Brandon, let's talk about the foundation. So let's take it back. So as Brandon said, we literally grew up together. I think me and his sister, I think we even baptized maybe on the same day. Like we go back, which is incredible. And when people think of Houston, though, they don't think of actors, they think of New York or they think of LA. And so what's unique about the Dirden family is his parents were always just encouraging all of us to think outside the box. Ashley, they had amazing parties. So for everybody watching that grew up with us, the reason I have those big parties for Naya with those carnivals is because of Miss Debbie Dirden. We had different, stations at the parties in the backyard. And so let's just take it back there, Brandon, because you are an actor. And so, yes, you got the full tuition scholarship, but did you have any pushback from your family about majoring in acting or aspiring to be an actor? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, never any pushback about aspiring to be an actor. There wasn't pushback about majoring in acting. My dad is also an actor. He never did it for a profession. He grew up as a Black man in the South in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And so the opportunities to actually support a family acting in Houston just weren't there. But he had a love for the theater in particular. And he did a lot of community theater plays and sometimes some small professional theater. So we grew up in a house that really appreciated, the art form of theater. And he had a lot of active friends who would come over to the house, and some who actually moved to New York. And so growing up, I had stories from the great Allie Woods, who was an original member of a famed theater company in New York called the Negro Ensemble Company, a place that gave Denzel his start, and Morgan Freeman came out of there, and a lot of other big name actors. And so Allie Woods would come home and he'd tell us all about, what was happening in New York. And so I'm thankful to my dad for having that interest and having those friends who were able to, bring into Houston the information that was happening, in the epicenter of theater in New York. So there was never any pushback about pursuing it. Now, when I got to college, my dad kind of understood that you didn't need a degree to be an actor. You didn't have to major in acting, right? That wasn't a prerequisite for, to be successful in this industry, to actually have that piece of paper that said you studied it. So and it was a wise thing that he counseled me on. He said, listen, if somebody's going to pay for your school, then get something that you can fall back on if you need to. And I'd gone to the engineering high school for the engineering professions in Houston. And so I was pretty good with numbers, math, and science. And so that's what I studied at Morehouse was chemical engineering and mathematics. And then I would go over to Spelman to take all my drama courses. And I ended up taking enough hours so I can actually get a major in that. But I guess my main focus in school was the math and the science. And that was at my parents, that was at their insisting. But once I got the degree, my dad was like, okay, cool, you got that. Now you can go and do whatever you want to do to make it in this business. And so I then went to University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign to get a master's in acting, just to get more concentrated, conservatory style training, and to make connections in the industry too. Grad school can help out with that too. But no, my parents have been so supportive about me, pursuing this profession, and my brother, and they're even more supportive when we don't have to call and ask for, rent money this month. So we've never had to do that since we started. And so, I haven't, maybe Jason has, I don't know. But they've been, and they come and see everything we do. I mean, they traveled all over this country to see plays that we do or premieres that happen. So, they've been, I guess, dream parents for us.
Wow.
And you don't hear that a lot. You don't hear that a lot in this business. People don't waste your time. Most parents, you ain't got the talent. You don't look like this. They're really hard on their kids. Mm-hmm. And now I do a lot of coaching and teaching. I teach at NYU in their grad school acting program. And I just can't believe the horror stories that come out of there about those people who are so supremely talented, whose parents just don't support their efforts because they want them to have a quote unquote, safe career, being a lawyer, being a doctor. And that's the thing, is that most actors that I know, most good actors, are so smart that they could succeed in almost any profession. And you have to be so very curious and smart to make it in this business and to have longevity in this business. And most actors could do well in any other profession. But it's kind of like, well, why would you choose that career? You're so brilliant. You could do anything you want. Why would you pick the most uncertain profession that you could find? I don't know. Maybe we're glutton for punishment too. Who knows?
Wow, you're very blessed to have parents and a family that supported you and continues to support you. And to come from such a strong foundation is amazing. But to also then be launched into an institution like Morehouse, where the ground is so fertile for you to be bred into being great and be great leaders. Yeah. Anything or any form of fashion or career that you decide. Is there any particular time, any specific relationship or anything or experience that you had at Morehouse that you felt that was pivotal in your life? Yeah. Where you're like, wow, this really changed the game for me.
Yeah. I was, there was a teacher, Dr. Jackson, who was an English teacher, and she was actually head of the honors program too, that I was in at Morehouse. And, I came from a high school where I did very well, but I gotta be honest to say, just growing up and unfortunately, like a lot of communities of color, where the expectations for us to do well are not exceedingly high. My parents had high expectations of me, and I had some teachers that had high expectations, but by and large, the expectation of excellence was, kind of shaky at best across the board in a lot of the, Black communities that I grew up in and went to school in. And so going to Morehouse College and being in a place like the honors program, where across the board, all of your teachers just required excellence. And there was no ifs, ands, and buts. There's no, there's no hand holding. There's no coddling. There's no, oh, I'm sorry, I know you had a rough life growing up, so we're going to grade you on the. No, there's none of that. There is, you're here, you're brilliant, and that's what I expect from you. And so Dr. Jackson, I had her class, and I wasn't a great student. Not that I couldn't do the work. I just wasn't a great student in her class. And I could charm my way into a decent grade, even an A from a lot of other teachers. And that just wasn't my interest in really putting in the work that Morehouse demanded of me. And she didn't let me slide. She almost failed me. She almost failed me and held me back. And she was just straight up with me. She was like, you're smart, but you aren't doing the work. And so here is your C-. And I needed a C+ to not have to take the course over again. And I just went. And I had one more assignment left. And I busted my ass to have to get a decent grade to make sure I didn't have to retake her class. And that taught me a very valuable lesson to, don't wait to the last minute to try and pull up from behind, And my sister Bridget always says, stay ready so you never have to get ready, And it's like that experience, Dr. Jackson and her insistence on saying there are consequences to your behavior. And that really set a tone for me. And that was my freshman year. And that really set a tone for me that I have to bring my best every time, not just to impress somebody or not just to, so I can look good, but no, really so that I can stand up and at the end of the day said, whatever happens, I put my best foot forward. And I can be, I can live with that. But I couldn't live with the fact that I might have to retake this English course because I didn't try hard enough. And that really prepared me for a business where you're going to hear no, 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 no. Yes. No, 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 no. You're going to hear so many no's for everyone. Yes. That when I hear that no, it's not about, oh man, what could I have done? No, I know I did my job. It's just that it wasn't for me. You know what I'm saying? And so when I do get a yes, I know that nobody did me a favor. I know I did my best and I belong in the room. And it gives you a sort of what I like to call like an actor's arrogance that is so crucial to have. It gives you a thick skin, but also gives you well, arrogance is the best word I can just to say that I believe in myself and I know I can do the work and I know I can do it. Not to say that you can't do it or that I'm better than you, but it's like I'm here and I belong. And it's so crucial in this business that you have that.
Hey, that's spoken like a true Morehouse man, Brandon. We don't call that arrogance. We call that confidence.
There you go.
And hey, like you said, in your business, and really, we're all entrepreneurs. So we hear a lot of no's, but as you know, it only takes one yes. Yeah. So let's talk about that first yes that you got as an actor. So if you had to think back on the biggest yes of your career, what would you say that biggest yes as an actor is, and tell us about it?
Yeah. So many. And let's see the biggest. You know what? It's funny because the biggest yes that I think I've gotten was for a project that was never made. I was some years ago, I guess it's about 4 or 5 years ago. This is after I kind of had a little bit of a stage career. Well, I definitely had like a Broadway career going on. I had done like maybe 3 or 4 Broadway shows at this point. And I started to do a lot more television. Like I think maybe I had the first season of The Americans I had done, and I think the Get Down on Netflix had just been released. And so I was getting some traction as an actor and finding some consistency in the television world, which I was looking for. But it hadn't been like this yes to say, okay, you're going to be set up. You're going to be fine with it. Now offers only, right? I haven't had that, and I still don't have that yet. But there was this one project, and I can't give the details of it, but it was a huge superhero movie. It was a big franchise, And I was cast as like the second lead in this movie, right? And there's some other big stars. And then I didn't have a lawyer, so my manager's like, look, this is a 3-picture deal. You're going to have to get these lawyers and negotiate these contracts. I'm like, oh my God, I'm starting to play it all out. Like, oh my God, so I'm set up for the rest of my life. Whether or not I do anything else, like these 3 pictures for this, you know, superhero franchise could set me up. And I'm like, I'm golden, I'm good. And I'm spending the money in my head before, before I even sign these contracts. And I think we're going to be set, right? And for whatever reason, some differences with the director and the writers and the stars, things just didn't line up. So that project was shelved, and it still hasn't been made, that movie. And at first, I was disappointed, of course. But oddly enough, I wasn't devastated, or I didn't feel like, oh man, the one that got away, and I didn't get depressed at all, because it was enough just to hear yes. Enough that some studio that was making this $100 million plus, dollar movie said, we see something in this guy that we believe he can carry a movie in this huge franchise. And that gave me enough confidence, and it gave me enough of an affirmation. Whether or not the movie was made, it's kind of inconsequential, right? But it gave me enough of an affirmation. And now think about it, I shouldn't have really been waiting for them to affirm me. I got to affirm myself. But it was still nice to hear, when it's that much money on the line, somebody say, yeah, you're the guy. You're the guy that we want to go with here. And it's carried me in those 5 years. Whether or not I get another opportunity like as big as that, I don't know. But frankly, I don't care. I know I had that one. I know, I had the eyes and ears of a decision maker. And they said, yeah, you're good enough. And it matched what I felt inside, that I'm good enough. And it was just kind of outward confirmation. So now I guess when I hear no's for smaller projects or even bigger projects, like, okay, yeah, but I got a yes one time, or I'll get another yes one day, you know what I'm saying? And maybe it'll happen. Maybe, I'll get a big yes another day, and that project could go awry. And so I guess all in all, what it made me really understand and realize is that I am more interested in the actual work. That's what really satisfies me, is the work. And whether it's off Broadway, off Broadway, whether it's a little home movie that we make, I'm interested in putting out work that's going to add some value to your life, right? And it's not about me being a success. It's not about me actually getting a yes or a no and going on to be a big star. It's not about that for me. And I thought it was at one point. I really did. And so now that I've gotten a yes and, I'm not done. I'm not, fully satisfied. It's like, it's not about that anymore. It's not about what other people think of me. It's about what I can put out into the world that may make you, think, may make you laugh, may make you, want to kill me or something, like right now on this television show For Life, I'm probably one of the most hated men on Black Twitter now, this character on For Life. And it's all good for me. Like, okay, that's fine. You talking, so.
Wow.
That's kind of a rambling answer. I hope you got something in that one.
No, I got a lot out of it, as a matter of fact, because it sounds like in what you shared is a message to young professionals or for anybody that wants to go into that career. Like, these are the things you want to think about. You want to be passionate about the work that you do, right? So if you had a chance to turn around and talk to the 17-year-old Brandon coming into Morehouse, knowing all that you know today, what would you say?
I would say, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You're not going to always feel like you're fine, but you are fine, and you will be fine. And really cherish the friendships that you make and honor that, because some of them are just for that time. Some of the friendships you make are just for that time and that season that you're there. Some of them, God willing, will be lifelong friendships, but they're all important. They're all important in developing who you are. All those friendships can teach you something about some other part of the world that you've never been to, some other perspective. Those close relationships you make, you learn about different values that you may not have. And, don't put so much focus on yourself. Get to know other people, get to know how things are done outside of your little sphere, and be curious and stay hungry, and just know that you're fine, and you're capable, and you're enough. I really would love to my 17-year-old self, because I did a lot of stupid things because I didn't feel like I was enough. I feel like I had to be something outside of who I was to fit in, because maybe I didn't have the money that people in my class had. You know, I wasn't driving the fancy cars, or, you know, that was my experience in Morehouse too. It was like sometimes feeling inadequate because, you know, people were coming from quote unquote, you know, better backgrounds, and just to know that you're fine. Whoever you are, wherever you are, it's fine, you know.
Well, Brandon, yes, you are fine. You're doing an amazing job behind the scenes. So Brandon is not only an incredible actor that you can see on this incredible show For Life, but I've had the privilege to actually see one of his productions. So he's also a producer, and we can feel your passion. So I just wanted you to talk more about why you're so passionate about the arts and what you're doing to give back to the community, because you pay it forward too.
Yeah. I really believe that storytelling is a noble profession. You know, it can be a lot of other things, and a lot of people pervert the profession, you know, for money. You can make a quick dollar, and you can get some influence, and you can get powerful or whatever, but you know, I feel like I'm at my best self when I'm in service to somebody else. And I feel like telling stories in a credible way, I particularly have an interest in expanding the sense of what it is to be, you know, an African-American. So a lot of the stories and subject matter that I deal with, you know, I work a lot on the plays of, you know, the late, great August Wilson. And Andrea has been such a champion to come down to a theater I work at often, where I direct plays of his and bring her daughter and son and her whole family. And I know it's adding value to Andrea's life. And hopefully it's adding value to those kids' lives to say that who we are, what we do is stage worthy. You know, August had a phrase, it says, the contents of our mother's cabinet are worthy of the telling. And so often, sometimes we grow up thinking that the way we do things is not worthy to be elevated to art, you know. And sometimes in the way current culture even lampoons the way we do things, like we'll do something and then it's all of a sudden become trendy, and then we got to throw that out and reinvent something else, right? As opposed to taking some of the ways that we do it, some of the ways that our mothers and grandmothers did things, and putting it up on stage like, you know, this is who we are. These are the core principles of how we got from tit to tat. You know what I'm saying? This is why we're so strong, and this is why we persevere. And this is, you know, this is all part of humanity too. And do it in such a way that you can watch this show or watch this play and walk out of theater and think about your own life and say, yeah, I am worthy of being in the same conversation with these other great works of art that we idolize. You know what I'm saying? Like our time right now, the way we do things as Black people is just as beautiful and as precious as, say, like the Italian Renaissance and the way they do things, their art, you know what I'm saying? And so the way we do things should be documented and preserved and respected, just like any other period in history. We're not a disposable people. And you know, that's what makes me happy when I can see that in an audience, to say, wow, this play sees me. This play is speaking to me. That's my dad up there. That's my brother. And then also, I mean, that's on a specific level, but if I attack the specifics of who we are, it also illuminates and opens up, you know, the macro, right? The universality of who we all are. So there'll be, you know, I've done many August Wilson shows, you know, production of Fences or something, and there's this 70-year-old white man in the front row crying. It's like, that was my dad who was on stage, you know? So we have the ability to speak to the universal through our specific experience. And that's the beauty and power of who we are and the way we do things. And that's what drives me. I want to honor, you know, us. I love us. And I think we belong. And this is our country, and this is our right. And it is necessary that we know that we have value, you know, and that we have expectations of excellence for the next generations too.
Well, you know, listening to you, I just really love the fact that you and Andrea you've got a relationship, you've grown up together, you both have that HBCU experience, and you continue to support each other. And I love that.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
I am just meeting you, and I'm like, yo, this guy is so cool. You know, I look forward to meeting you and your family. Hopefully one day we'll come and check out your show. But for those that are tuning in today, please tell us where we can find you on social media, what channel we need to tune into and what time, so that we can actually come out there and support you in your art.
All right. Well, get a pen. I'm gonna drop a couple of things. I get most immediately. I think we got a couple more episodes left of For Life. It's ABC's #1 new drama that airs Tuesday nights, 10 o'clock Eastern. It's getting kind of wild. So you got a couple more episodes for the end of the season, and hopefully we can get back in production real soon for another season. You know, once we're on the other side of the time we're on now. But if you go back in the stacks, I did 4 seasons on the hit show The Americans for FX, which you could stream, I believe, on Amazon. Maybe they may have it on Hulu too. Then there's always The Get Down on Netflix, if you want to go back in the crates and find that one. There's a couple other projects coming up. Right before the shutdown happened, I was in rehearsals for the Broadway revival of a play called Take Me Out, starring Jesse Williams from Grey's Anatomy and Jesse Tyler Ferguson and Patrick Adams and a bunch of other great New York actors. And we were just about to start performances for that. So once Broadway gets the A-OK to resume, you can find me on stage 8 times a week for Second Stage Theater. It's a play called Take Me Out, and that should be very, very, very exciting. What else? I don't know. If you just Google, there's all kind of stuff that's bound to come up. With shows that I've done. I'm on IMDb, so you can search through if you want to find out what else I did and try to find those things. But I don't know. So it's enough of me to get real sick of me out there. So pace yourself.
Okay.
But look, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about my brother Jason, who was on BET's American Soul, which is premiering. Was it May 24th? Look it up though. I think it's on it might be on BET Plus or the regular BET, but American Soul, and he is the standout of that series. It's a show about the beginnings of Soul Train and Don Cornelius, and Jason plays this this mighty fine gangster. He's a hustler who helps Don get the show off the ground, and he's cold-blooded in the show. So check him out this month in the new season of that.
Well, we will all be tuning in, Brandon, and everybody was just glued to this interview because you have been dropping nuggets and a lot of quotables, a lot of encouragement, a lot of inspiration. So thank you, because that's exactly what this series is about, telling your story. You are HBCU Excellence. Thank you for being who you are.
Thank you.
Morehouse man and actor extraordinaire. But last but not least, before we end this, I want everybody to know, not only are you passionate about the arts, but you're married too to an actual celebrity actress too in her own right. And then they have a son who is basically a baby version of Brandon, and Chase is an up and coming actor. So tell us about what it's like though to actually be married to an actress. I mean, because you do this day in and day out, and we can feel your passion from this interview. But what is it like to be married to an actress and to have a son that is so energized and excited about the arts like you are?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. I'll say this. You know, before I met my wife, I dated other women who were not actors, and it was very hard on that because what we do, there's no time off really. And I don't want there to be time off because my life is about studying people and trying to reveal something about humanity. So I'm constantly working, and so it makes it very difficult for a non-actor or pedestrian to understand that. Like, when are you gonna turn it off? Well, I'm not. So being married to another actor who understands that and speaks the same languages is so cool. But I will say this: the most important thing about being married to Crystal is that I think she's a fantastic actor, and I believe in her and I support her. Before I dated other actors who I didn't think were that good, and it didn't work because I didn't believe in what they did. And so I think it's so important, not just that I'm married to an actor, but married to an actor that I believe in, that I'm a fan of. You know, the Bible says Eve and Adam were each other's helpmate. And what does that mean? You know, it doesn't mean that, oh, my wife is there to cook and clean for me, or I'm there to bring home the bacon. No, it means that she is specifically designed for me, and I'm specifically designed for her to help her be the best that she's going to be. And I believe my wife does that for me. She helps me be the best person that I can be, right? And that happens a lot through our work, you know. So she's able to see something I do on stage or a film, and she's able to talk about it specifically and give me positive feedback, encouragement, or offer me, you know, suggestions to how to do it better. And so we both come out better for it, but to what end? Just so we can be like great people? No, is that people, they can see our relationship and then see God in the middle of it, you know. So it's all for like the glorification of God. So hopefully the work that we do brings awareness of how good God is and how much God wants for all of us, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I think is particularly special about being married to this particular actor, and then having a son who is just actually a better artist than both of us. He's amazing. You know, part of what I do all day, as you know, in terms of figuring out acting, is how do I become a kid again and just live in imagination land and believe those given circumstances are real. And I can watch my son do this effortlessly all day long. And he's a great dancer. He's a great singer, you know. I mean, if he wasn't my son, I'd be jealous of him. But if you want to see a little taste of us all in action, I don't know if we can link to the video that we put out, the 24-hour plays thing. That's just a little thing we did in home a couple of weeks ago for the straight nonprofit called 24-hour plays, where we make an entire play. A writer writes something for us and we film it all in 24 hours and put it up. And it's great, but you can get a taste of my wife and my son in that video.
Awesome. Well, look, you are an actor, you're a director, you're a professor, you are in the community, and you are a father, a husband, and passionate about all those things. And to top it all off, you are a Morehouse man.
Indeed.
We thank you so much for your time, because you got a lot going on. We thank you for joining us today, and we really encourage everyone to follow all the links that we share on this page to continue supporting this very fine brother right here.
God bless everybody, and y'all stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.